And good evening.
Hello.
Welcome to Wednesday. D&D Wednesdays.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
Still workshopping it.
Yep.
We can create characters, we just can't come up with a name for the show.
We're terrible with names. Names are hard.
That's why I have a bard. That's why I have a bard named Jim. Jim the Bard.
So,
welcome.
Yep.
I'm Old Man Strikerbolt.
Hello, I am Ms. Wraith.
Yep. And welcome to the stream. Let's see. It's Wednesday. Time to talk D&D again. So as usual, it's time for me to plug my sister's candles again.
Oh, I thank you. So actually this week, I just started for this next month. I started a sale, so everything in the store is 10% off. Hopefully that'll give somebody, a little bit of help if they're wanting something special, especially since you guys are all stuck inside, not getting to, do your regular D&D campaigns, but you can at least have a nice smell. So check it out. It's fun. I will be, over the course of this week, I do want to do a lot of art shares and maker shares over on my Twitter, @CraftCandles. I'd like to boost as many makers as I can, so keep an eye out for those, and if you know somebody who makes some cool D&D stuff, please share it. I'd like to boost as many people as I possibly can from my little corner of the internet, so keep an eye out for that. So, yep.
I think you've also got sparkly melts now.
Oh, yes. I made sparkly dragon melts. I figured out, I found a glitter that works in wax. It's, so hopefully I'll be able to put it into actual candles soon, but I've got some settling issues that I got to work on. But yeah, those are available right now. So if you don't like burning candles, you can melt some wax and still get that good smelly scent. Mm. So. Okay, there's the plug. Let's move on to fun stuff now.
All right, so probably just going to leave it on this page for a while, but today's talking about... Last week was geared more towards the DM than it was the players.
More mechanics,
more mechanics such. Not that the player couldn't come up with cool stuff, but,
So, this week, though, we're talking more in my wheelhouse, which is character development, creating a personality for your character, basically bringing your character from that 2D page in front of you, a conglomeration of stats and, the basic description of your character to a fully fledged, I guess not a fully fledged person, somebody who you know how they're going to react to
bring
situations.
Them to life.
Yeah, bring them to life, basically.
Yeah.
So,
although without the necromancy and the smell.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad.
That's bad.
So, yeah, don't do that. Do not raise the dead at home, guys. That's a bad idea.
That's not what they meant when they said raising a family.
Yes. Although, Gurn Blanston would disagree with you. But, there's that. So, anyway, basically, we want to talk about a lot of background story, especially, and like all those little questions that you can sit and kind of ponder in your free time, and since we all have a lot of free time right now, we can definitely do some of that.
And maybe even talk about how, this is definitely like not mechanics heavy talk today, but even how certain game mechanics can help you influence quirks on your character, or, having fun with a good or bad roll.
Yeah, there we go.
And, or also there's a lot, or just opportunities to improv during gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to kind of start with a character that I've been working on, because here very soon I am not going to be DMing. My husband's going to take back over, which I will say I'm really happy about. I have found out that, I've done one-shots and things like that before, and I've always had a lot of fun with those, but I have found out over doing the course of a series of game sessions, it's not my favorite thing to do. I would rather play. I want to play a character. I don't want to know what's going to happen next. I want to, experience it, figure it out. So,
although, to be fair, sometimes as the DM, you don't know what's going to happen next either.
This is true, but it's a whole different thing.
Like the time where DM planned for us to break out of prison, and all the players were like, oh, wait, we had a prison break already planned for us? All right, let's just get back in jail.
Yeah, we got this. It's fine.
All right, back in jail, everyone.
Yeah, we'll just wait. It's good.
So not to say that being the DM, you can't be surprised, because that's like the nature of the game. Is players will find a way to derail your campaign so hard.
Yeah, without even meaning to. We totally went sideways on him. Didn't mean to do that. But anyway, it's not a bad thing though to not enjoy DMing.
It's not everyone's cup of tea,
and that's okay. You know, you're going to have your people who are diehard players. You're going to have your DMs who are really into world building and creating for a group of people, and then you're going to have people who like both, and all of that is okay. That's the beauty of D&D. So, all right. So talking about characters.
Talking about characters. So it's there, and I should also add, there's nothing wrong with 2D characters for those, things like one shots and such.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got a 2D character in Olga, my bridge troll. So she's definitely a one-dimensional, just on the piece of paper. I mean, she's got some quirks, but it's nothing you're going to really explore much with her, because she was made for a one-shot. She's fun to play, but she's not.
Yeah, same thing with.
That's what we're.
Yeah,
what we're
same
talking
thing with
about.
my Kensei Street Monk. He was the Street Monk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
he was one shot.
Yeah.
Pissed half the table off the moment he said the first 3 words out of his mouth. All of them were the same word. Yo.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but today we're talking about characters for long campaigns. People who you are going to develop and bring into their own. They're going to react to the world, they're going to grow, or they're going to change, or they're going to, things like that. So I was hoping to start with a character I'm developing right now, and that is going back to the character, being able to switching back to a player, and that is the champion fighter that I'm going to start playing once my husband takes over. I've started building her and thinking about who she is, where she came from, and so far what I've got is that she became a fighter because she was raised by a mercenary group. Her parents were both mercenaries, and so she grew up on the road. She grew up learning different skills from the different members. So she had one mentor who was a wizard, and she had another mentor who was a rogue. And then, but the one that she really showed an aptitude for was the party's fighter. And so she learned from Dorlin the dwarf, a gruff, no-nonsense fighter who taught her the way of the great axe. And her parents, in trying to think about how that would work within the game. So, yeah, she's had these different teachers, but she's not going to have those skills as a character. So, how do you work that into the game? And obviously, she probably wouldn't have spent much time with them, but she would have been buddies. That kind of thing. So
there's things like, well, she's got combat senses. She'll know, the right thing to do in combat and such.
Mm-hmm. Well,
which also is just great for experienced players, but
yeah. Or, for example, though, I wanted to avoid a tragic backstory with her, because
those are a dime a dozen.
Well, it's not even just so much that, is that I find that it's harder to figure out, and more of a challenge, not necessarily harder, but more of a challenge to figure out, if you had a good childhood, why would you go out adventuring? Why would you leave home, your security, all that stuff, if your mom and dad are still alive, your brother and sisters are fine, nobody's been attacked or dead or anything like that, so...
Hello, BB girl.
Oh, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. So the thing that I really wanted to look at was why a relatively well-adjusted person would go out adventuring. Not too much. We're talking about character development and why, and figuring out like the little details of your character so that you can, for longer campaigns, so that you've got basically, instead of just a conglomeration of stats and basic, attributes, you've got a pretty fleshed out character that can grow and change with your campaign. So it's kind of a good summary. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so.
So basically, I was talking about my fighter that I'm developing right now, and talking about choices that I made with her to kind of give her a more fleshed out reason to be out on the road, who she is, where she came from, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's try a character without a tragic backstory sometime. It's a fun challenge to try.
Yeah.
It's doable. You know, oh hey, I was raised by adventurers, and that was a fun childhood. They're still, you know, they've retired or whatever, or they just broke up.
And that's exactly what where her parents went. Her parents and her, you know, the mercenary friends finished mercenarying about and taking jobs and were ready to retire. So her mom and dad went and bought a farm, and she wasn't.
They bought the farm without buying a farm.
Exactly.
Or I have that backwards. Sorry.
Yeah. So. But basically.
How did your parents? They bought the farm. Oh, I'm so sorry. Why? They like.
They're like down the road.
They're down the road. Really, that farm over there.
Yeah. They got corn in the field. It's great. But basically she was like, dude, I've been out on the road with you guys forever, and now just as I'm old enough to go adventuring and actually join in with this stuff and not be left back at the end, you guys are done?
What the shit?
Yeah, basically. So she's like, all right, I'll go off and check it out. And of course, lima beans. Yes. Okay. Yeah, they're lima bean farmers now. I've decided that I like that. They're now lima bean farmers.
Yeah, that's not the only way you can also go about it. I had one other game. It didn't last long because the DM just all of a sudden decided I can't do this. I'm canceling and deleting the Discord server. But I had a character that was divination wizard, and you know, and he had a happy life. He had the guild merchant background, and you know, had a wife, and he had skilled like, you know, divination magics or whatever, but he was happy running in with his wife. His reason for adventuring is he had a premonition of bad stuff happening, but I hadn't decided what it was yet, and I kind of left that open. It was like, yeah, something bad's going to happen. I'll let you know when the DM says so.
I'll let you know when the DM tells me.
Or, you know, that was, you know, he had a happy life, but, you know, he had the call to adventure. He had the ability to do something about stuff, and was going to do it. And now my bot on my Discord server says I'm like, okay.
So there's different things you can do. Another character I had, actually, it's a fun concept, and I really can't wait to play this character. But she was a wild magic sorceress. But the thing is, she's an 80-year-old woman. But before we get into how she ended up adventuring, basically she lived her life as an innkeeper's wife. She covered the cooking and the meals, saw adventures come and go, always dreamed of going out and doing those things, but as far as she was concerned, she didn't have the skills to survive on the road. And she was really happy with her life. She had kids, she had family all around,
Yeah,
all
grandkids.
that kind of, yeah, grandkids, all that good stuff. But with her, what brought her to adventure is, you know, she's old, end of life, she's good to go. Her husband passes away of natural causes, everything's, you know, that kind of thing, and that's when her powers decided to manifest. So in her, you know, her natural grief, even though you know it's coming, you're still, you know, you still have that grief. In that grief, her wild magic surged and aged her back down to the, de-aged her to the age of 18. So now she's unrecognizable. And she got powers. That's weird. And so she's like, well, it's a second chance at life. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
So
let's live a little.
Yeah. So there's just some good ideas for non-tragic backstories that that can give you some more options to create some interesting characters. Yeah. I mean, tragic backstories are fine and good.
They're fine and all. It's a very easy way to have a character that's it's an easy way to build motivation, an easy way to, it's like if you have trouble, you know, coming up with backstories for characters or whatever, then don't worry about, you know, the tragic backstory, like, or maybe semi-tragic, like for example, one of my favorite characters I ever played, the rogue that could convince
pretty much anybody of anything.
That could convince mermaids to buy water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he didn't actually try that, but I would like to try that at some point. But anyway, I'm digressing. So his, all the DM said was like, hey, you're going to be starting the 5th level, and you're going to be just getting out of the army, and build your character with that. Had a character that was basically on their...
Ooh, I like that.
Rumspringa? I don't know what that is.
So it's...
Okay, so while you're Googling that...
Yeah.
While that's being Googled, but my guy, he was this little, halfling rogue. He grew up on the streets, street urchin, whatever. Kind of started running his own little street gang, whatever. A bunch of orphan misfits, whatever. That's how he lived his life. And when he was old enough,
now I know what it is. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thing, and then I'll talk about it.
He gets to be a proper age or whatever, and then war in the country or the city breaks out, and they instate a draft, and all those people going out to experience the English world. Okay, yeah. That's what okay, got it.
I knew what it was, I just didn't know the name for it. Thank you.
Well, so we had the name, just you had to pick the...
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, is I knew what it was, but I didn't know what the actual name for it was, and so, yeah, okay. There we go.
But, where was I at? Right. But yeah, war breaks out, draft is instated, and kind of referencing back to historically how sometimes rich families would kidnap like a hobo off the street or whatever and say, oh yeah, this is totally my son that got drafted. That's what happened to my character, my little rogue character there, Cade. That was his name, Cade. Mm-hmm. So what happened to Cade? And while he was in the service, he learned... This is the point where I started basing him off of other media I was absorbing at the time, which at the time was the TV show Burn Notice.
Okay.
Which Burn Notice, it's about a spy who got burned and
all that stuff. I love that show.
Yeah, and but yeah, so it's he learned he had a knack for spy stuff and all that. So semi-tragic. It's like, this kind of sucks, but I'm okay with this because I like doing this.
So baby girl, I really love that idea of a Rumspringa. I think that is a fabulous way for them to, for characters to go out into the world. So you still have your family and everything, but it's like it's a rite of passage to figure out if. To see the rest of the world, gain experience, and then bring those things back to the community or not, or just experience things. I think that's a fabulous, beginning of a backstory, definitely. Yeah. So we've kind of talked about backstories and kind of like what brings a character to the adventure. But there's other things, though, like little quirks and bits and pieces of a character that really flesh them out, bring them... So, for example,
I was going to say, first thing, okay, we've established the backstory. That doesn't mean we have to stop writing the backstory. Yeah. Stuff can happen during the king that can grow you to the backstory of your character.
Exactly. But what I was going to talk about is, that's where a lot of people start, but thinking about the little bits and pieces of your characters. So, for example, and I'm talking little tiny things, like what their favorite food is, what their favorite non-adventuring thing to do. For example, the fighter I'm working on, her favorite food is pot roast. Loves pot roast and wants to and will not turn down pot roast any way, shape, or form. That's amazing.
Pot roast, I'm in. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see.
I've got one in one of the online games I'm playing when I'm playing my fake paladin, not the one that's posted on the other YouTube page, but or video. But he had a hangover and wanted coffee. And we just had an in-character discussion about coffee, even though as a person, me personally, the player, hates coffee.
Coffee's a wonderful thing. There's something wrong with
I do not like coffee. I just don't like it. I can drink tea just fine. I'm fine with that, but coffee's just... I've tried it so many times.
I don't understand how we're related.
You just got the coffee gene now.
Apparently.
Of course, then again, I'm also horribly addicted to soda. So.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe that.
I just prefer sweet to bitter.
Yeah. So, Another thing to think about too is what do they like to do in their spare time? Dextra, my evil life cleric.
Hard to get good pot roast when you're on the road.
This is very true. You have no idea. It's a terrible thing. So any inn, do you have pot roast? That will be the first question I ask. So, hey,
welcome,
no, welcome.
How's it going?
So,
hey, you edited the... That's neat.
Hey, that's super cute.
That's a thing you can do with points, is you can buy the emote and edit it.
That is fun. That's so super cute. I like it.
That, or it's just something they decided to throw on all the emotes for St. Patrick's Day.
Maybe. I don't know, but I like it. But anyway, another small thing is thinking about what your character likes to do in their spare time. Dextra, my evil life cleric, likes to knit. But that never came up in the campaign, but I had it at the ready.
Yeah.
She likes yarn. I mean, yarn is awesome, and...
She wasn't even at Tabaxi.
Exactly. But yeah, knitting and yarn arts were her thing. So that's what if we had come across it, she would have been all over them. It's little bits though and pieces like that that can really kind of mold your character into who they are. And you don't have to have that ready to go right at the beginning when you start.
Yeah.
Although it's really fun to think about.
Yeah.
These are things that can develop over time within your campaign. For example, going back to Dextra, I didn't know that Dextra really liked to craft things and make things until she made the zombie hand wreath. But yeah, she's all about
crochet all day over here.
Yes.
Hashtag.
All over. I like crochet too. I'm not as good at it as I am as knitting, but crochet's pretty awesome as well.
And there's all sorts of stuff you can do, backstory. I mean, it's easily like just built into the description of the characters or description of races or whatever. Like dwarves like crafting and such. A bard, they've usually got like a song they like or whatever. Like for one example, like you can roleplay also how spells go or abilities go. One game playing as Jim the Bard. There's this town where like everyone was hypnotized or whatever, and they were building something weird or whatever. And I had a spell, I think it was Calm Emotions or something, I can't remember. Or basically something that could break charm over a group of people for like 10 minutes. So I performed Chop Suey.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I didn't. Okay.
System of a Down.
Yeah, that was
wake up.
that was really funny. Yeah, and that's the fun thing about it, though, is just doing little silly things like that.
Another town I had to like introduce myself or had to get the township friendly with the party, so I sung. What was the name of that Tenacious D song that I chose? Fuck Her Gently. That was the name of the song.
That's lovely. So, yeah, and you don't... So, favorite songs, favorite foods, things that they hate. Yeah. That's another really good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a character... I haven't gotten a player, but I have a character who hates bugs. Like, with a burning passion. Bugs are not her friend. She is going to she's going to either kill them or run away from them.
Or
depending
both.
Or both, what's happening. A thing that I found was really a lot of fun is one of our players played a character who was completely monotone. So he spoke very calmly, and everything, no matter how happy or sad he was monotone. So there was no modulation to his voice whatsoever. And this is how he talked all the time. And so it's
sort of a deadpan thing, though.
A deadpan thing, but he worked on being completely and totally monotone, so you couldn't read him even or see where he was emotionally in character. And I thought that was a lot of fun and really creative because it adds a dimension to your character as to, and why was he that way? Why was he? And he was playing a warlock, and he explained it later to me. It was because he was so traumatized. He chose a Haunted One background. He was so traumatized by what he saw and all that kind of stuff that his character basically repressed all emotion just to keep it together. So You can have some really deep reasons for what you're doing and why you're doing it as well. Just with a little tiny quirk, a little tiny detail can really shape your character.
Which is funny because the quirk he chose for that character was also they just don't blink.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
He just doesn't blink.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I'm sorry, he did blink once last week.
Yeah. So, but he was able to create a rather creepy character with, again, going back, and he did the tragic backstory thing. But a really creepy but dynamic and interesting character that still worked with the party. That's one thing. If you're going to do a tragic background, make it so that they can still work with people, work with the party in some way, shape, or form, whether it's purely through pragmatism or they still have hope for the world, that kind of thing. Gotta keep those eyes nice and moist. So, yes. Yeah. Exactly.
It's you can make a tragic backstory without making an edgelord.
Yeah.
So just try and avoid cutting yourself on that edge.
Well, and you can still go edgelord-y. I mean, our player is really good at it, but he's able to keep it on that line where, he's kind of edgelordy, but he still can work with a party, stick with a party, build relationships, that kind of thing. And what's really fun about him is that he's not much of a role player. He, it's never really been his thing. He's more into the mechanics and fights. He really loves combat. But that's one goal that he had for himself, is that he wanted to get better at role play. And he's really created some interesting, fun characters like this warlock that we've been talking about, with working within what he feels his abilities are. And I think that's really important too, is being able to do that and still stay within what you're comfortable with, but still kind of push yourself a little bit, which I really liked.
That's pretty cool,
admire him for. So.
But then, and I kind of want to talk about, there's something I thought of earlier, but then I forgot what that was.
You were talking about wanting,
when we switched to this topic.
Okay.
Subtopic, I should say. I can't remember what it was anymore.
You'll remember eventually.
That's fine. Well, in that case, let's go back to, moments during the game. Our opportunities during the game to build your character further, to build the backstory further, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's still a quirk that, he brought to the table, brought his character to the table for. Gameplay mechanics. Okay, so going back to my fake paladin, No Tap Paladin. God, I love that name. Originally, his backstory is just he's off to avenge his brother who was a paladin, Aesop Paladin.
Oh, goodness gracious. So, anyway.
See, I'm damn good with names sometimes.
Sometimes. But we still can't figure out a Wednesday D&D name that we can pronounce properly.
Yeah.
By the way, I love the Wed D&D
Wednesday.
I like that a lot, but I can't for the life of me say it right.
Neither can I, apparently. So, but anyway, his that was his shtick, and I had a reason for him having his powers or whatever. Dad said Mom was an angel. He didn't realize he meant literally. But at some point we had come across a traveling slave auction, because slavery is a big part of this world, the seedy underbelly side of things. And my guy's like, I'm kind of not okay with this. I want to see if I can free these slaves. Goes to stealth, critically fails. Gets discovered. It's like, hey, what are you doing over here? Okay, I'll just lie my way out because that's what I'm good at. Deception roll, critically fail. I was rolling terribly that night. I think that's the most ones I ever rolled in a single session. But I decided from there to build it. Okay, something's going on with slavery that's throwing No Tap off really hard, and he's super uncomfortable with it. And he won't go near any sort of slave auctions whatsoever, or even anywhere near that area where they happen. Something that makes him super uncomfortable that he hasn't talked about with the party yet. and I decided to build on that. This like, okay, at some point, Mom may have been an angel, but she wasn't around forever, and Dad was a complete asshole and probably sold him and his brother into slavery, and powers developed. So he's got some sort of issue with having been brought up as a slave.
And you built that based
off some bad roles.
and coming in contact with this thing in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good adaptation, taking what happens in the world and adding it into your character as to why things would happen the way they happen, whether it's a bad role, a good role, whatever. You don't have to rely on, say, the DM to describe why you have had such a great role or why you had such a terrible role.
Yeah.
You can build that as well. So,
yeah.
So you mentioned something about MASH and bringing that.
That's right. It's something else that we were talking about 2D and 3D characters. There is all sorts of media all over everywhere where you can draw inspiration for these characters. And one great example of this for 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional characters is
between the two.
Is a television show called MASH, short for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. It's about a MASH unit during the Korean War.
If you have not seen it, it is so
It's
worth
very
watching.
Good. It's one of the original dramedies
out there.
Yeah. So like if you like Scrubs, give MASH a watch. But anyway, yeah.
I think the ones you're talking about is the difference between Frank Burns and Pierce, or even Winchester.
Yeah.
What were you
even
thinking?
then, I was going to make all sorts of things, because if you also want a show that can write such great, interesting characters and write characters terribly at the same time.
Yeah.
And also, if you also want a show that doesn't give a shit about continuity at times.
Yeah, it's so worth it. Yeah. I watch it at least
just
once a year.
Keep in mind that it's not consistent.
I don't think
one season, like the first season, it's established that Margaret Houlihan's dad is dead and has been dead for a while, and then season 7 or 8 he comes to visit.
Yeah.
The description for her husband also changed a lot. At one point, he was short, stocky, and had a unibrow. And when he finally showed up, he had none of those qualities.
He was none. But regardless, it's a fantastic show. The writing's amazing. But talking about 2D and 3D characters, one example that comes to my mind is they're the foils to the two main characters of Alwynalda's character. Pierce and BJ Honeycutt,
or before that, Trapper John McIntyre.
And that is the difference between Frank Burns, who was the first kind of antagonist, and Winchester, who replaced Frank Burns. Now, Frank Burns was a very one-dimensional character.
Yeah,
he was very flat. He was all about just antagonizing the characters.
His whole thing was he's a stick in the mud, follows only the rules, even when it's detrimental. No social skills whatsoever. Everyone hates him.
Yeah, he's an awful person. And then you have his replacement, Winchester, who was very smart, who definitely had...
Who had surgical skill.
Yeah, well, who had skills in general, who had social skills, all that kind of stuff. And Winchester, though, was a fully realized character. You find things out about him and things that he did. Like, for example, a little bit of backstory they talk about.
Or at the very least, at so much greater frequency than Frank Burns had.
Winchester had reasons behind what he did. For example, there was one episode that really gets me with Winchester, and that is that he was secretly giving candy to a local orphanage for Christmas. And because it had been a tradition in his family forever to give these sweets and chocolates as a special treat at Christmas time.
And anonymously.
But that was the thing. It had to be anonymous. And it goes through this whole, and it actually is a spark for growth for this character, because he finds out that the orphanage had sold the sweets for cabbage and rice and things like that, and he was really mad about it and upset. He's like, how dare you take these treats from babies, from children? And the leader of the orphanage said, well, your pound box of sweets or whatever paid for rice and cabbage and will keep my kids fed for a month. And he realizes that it's ridiculous to expect them to have dessert when they have nothing for dinner.
Yeah.
So it's basically,
and even then, the entire time, there's also there's this community potluck thing or whatever going on. People donate food, and all he donated was a can of sardines.
Mm-hmm. But you find out it's because his donation, as far as he was concerned, had to be anonymous in the good that he was doing. So, I mean, that's a really good example that you can take from media into your characters. You can have these really just kind of under wraps reasons for doing things that eventually can be revealed, and a reason why. But yeah,
he's definitely a character that he grew out of all the characters in the show, he grew the second most. He had the second most amount of character development. The character who had the most character development, and this character was also in the show for the entire time. That was Margaret Houlihan. Yeah. She started off as a two-dimensional character.
Yeah.
Just this character that she dated Frank Burns,
and she was there to just be a thorn in the side of the protagonist. But then you realize she was kind of really crappily written at the beginning. Yeah.
She wasn't very good until you got her away from Frank. And she had this opportunity for this growth. You realize that she's actually a really good nurse who's dedicated to her job. Mm-hmm. And she knows all the good work that our heroes are doing.
And so that's the thing, is that you've got... I agree. Yeah, she was the best.
She's great.
Best out of all of them.
She grows so much in that show. But you have to, but for her to really start growing, you have to find the few episodes where she's away from Frank, or not talking about
the rules.
Her husband, her ex-husband, was his name? Penobscot. Donald Penobscot. Yeah, it's once she, divorces him, she finally really starts becoming a really good character. She stops being so two-dimensional and such.
Well, she started growing before that.
Yeah, she had moments before that.
When she got engaged is when she really started growing.
But even then, her character was really crappily written at times, throwing temper tantrums all the time.
There were reasons behind that, though. But the thing is that the point of all of this, and otherwise we're going to talk about MASH for the rest of the time, is that you can have reasons for things happening that you don't necessarily have to have all out on the table laid out. That's why it's really good to kind of think about your characters and think about their motivations and when you're not playing, and all of your character. D&D doesn't have to just happen at the table, which is awesome. Or it doesn't have to just happen if you're a DM, prepping. It can be, a lot of my character development happens right before I go to bed, when I am just resting and winding down, browsing mindless internet stuff. I'll get to start thinking about my character and about the little tiny things that will upset them or make them happy, or things that have happened to them in the past. Because, there are times when we all go through this, we remember little flashes from when we were kids. Just random stuff that you're like, why do I even remember that? But you can do that for your character as well.
Yeah. And I guess the other point I also wanted to make with going into MASH was, don't be afraid to borrow from media. I made that point with Burn Notice.
We talk about that a lot, though. Media is a great source for those types of things, and making an amalgam from the things you see and hear and read. And
I did so much to my character development in the show.
Right? I've done that too. I'll be sitting there washing this. That's excellent shower thoughts. I'll be sitting there washing my hair and going, I don't think Olga would really like bathing. I think she would stink. I've thought of that. I've also thought of, I think this other character had a really embarrassing moment from something, right? I so agree with you. Shampoo stimulates character thought. It's really weird. So
it's weird. My shower thoughts just get political.
You need more D&D in your life.
I'm already in 4 campaigns.
So
maybe how about talking about pitfalls to avoid?
Okay.
And,
well,
things that would actually keep your character from coming to life, becoming 3D. Give your character the ability to learn. D&D is very much still a game of chance, a game of dice. Failings can still happen. That's one of the reasons why it's fun, is because there's a chance of failure. Let them grow from their mistakes, as well as yours. If they're stubborn and stupid and don't want to learn, or don't have the capacity to learn whatsoever, chances are they're not good. They don't grow.
That's going to be a flat character.
That's going to be a flat character.
So I can think of one. Is I had a character when I very first started playing. My very first character was this, and being very inexperienced, being 13 years old, I made this wizard, lawful neutral, noble background, who was gonna stick to the rules no matter what. But because I made her such a stickler and I hadn't learned these things yet, she never changed or grew. She flat out refused to work with the party, and you were like 7 at the time.
If you're 13, yeah.
Yeah, you were like 6 or 7.
6 or 7, yeah.
So, but
always late. That's fine, Cryocore. Welcome.
Oh, hey, welcome. Happy to see you. I hope you're staying well, all that good stuff. So she basically, this wizard that I made never changed, never grew. I was so concerned with sticking to her alignment, and this is back in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, by the way. So alignment played a bigger role in it does in 5e, but I was so stuck to playing my alignment and sticking to that stuck-up noble background that I had done. I made her completely unwilling to learn.
Oh, thank you, Melody Pond.
Oh, thank you, Melody.
And welcome to the stream.
Welcome.
Thank you. That's so much appreciated.
Yes. So that she stayed 2D because I never gave her the room to grow. I never gave her the opportunity. I never let her learn from her mistakes. So she really hindered the party because she wasn't flexible.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, I'm late. That's fine. Don't worry.
Oh no, we're happy you're here. Better late than never. You're good. We're just
I'm
happy
you
to
gave
see
me
you.
100 bits.
Yes. Well, I'm just happy to see you. So. Anyway, so right now we're just to kind of catch you guys up. We're talking about character development, and we talked about a lot about how little tiny things can affect a character and create a character and their personality and interacting with the world. We're kind of talking about things right now
things to avoid.
That would keep your character 2D rather than a fully fleshed out personality. Keep them that set of stats on a piece of paper.
And it's and that that payoff, that learning from mistakes or having to make hard choices. Oh, one of my characters have a proficiency. Doesn't make sense for a backstory. Why should we do anything about Arcana? Made it so anything she got from an Arcana check is because her cousin's a wizard and will tell her all about her wizard research. Accidental character backstory development.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
And little things are favorite, like allergies.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I love both of those things because you're absolutely right. You can do something weird and quirky that wouldn't necessarily fit with the rest of your character or the class you picked, but they've got a reason to know it. And going from there, all of a sudden, you've got this whole other avenue to explore. For example, like now you've got okay, what's your relationship with your cousin? Are you still in contact? Are they still around? Are they off and about in another world? Not another world, but another country. Do you get messages? That kind of thing.
So yeah.
And then Melody, like with allergies, that can be an amazing vector to a little thing forming a big thing. And I think I know what you're talking about. I've seen you talk about it on Twitter. Are you talking about the one that she sneezes and it changes her hair? Is that what I'm thinking of? I don't know. You'll tell me in a minute, because there's a delay. I keep forgetting that there's a delay.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to things to avoid and such, it's...
Yes, okay. Yeah, I was right. And that's a fun quirk, and I love it, and it adds a layer to the character that's just really interesting and dynamic. So, anyway, you were going to say I talked over you. I apologize.
That's fine, yeah. Another piece of media that came to mind was this anime. I'm not going to go into the name of it or the detail because it made me really angry.
Okay.
Like, not in a, like, oh, I don't like this character sort of thing, angry, or this is a bad villain sort of thing, but, like, really, that's how it turned out? Mm-hmm. It's this anime, the second season of it sounds really cool. She always fails her stealth checks. But this anime, it went into the backstory of these two characters. And this character that was just like the side character that was important became important throughout. And it had focus on this other person, and she had the tragic backstory going on. Mm-hmm. Home burned down, but she was carried to safety by someone. And then the other guy, his backstory was that he used to be part of a group of like evil mages or whatever that burned down houses or whatever. I don't remember the reason why. But he was part of the group that burned down the girl's village, and he's the one that carried her to safety because he had had enough of that. And the time came where everything's revealed, laid out on the table, and this is a chance for the character to grow and learn. And this is one of the reasons why I got angry was she didn't.
Okay.
She didn't. She chose that the other guy should die instead of other stuff. She ended up being super selfish, and then that was it. And that was the character, and then just wrapped up the story and didn't do anything else with it.
Huh. It seems like that was really
there was
flat.
There's an opportunity to learn and have interesting storytelling and choice, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's a bummer. So don't be afraid to change for your character to change over the course of a campaign. They may start out in one way that one line of thought, and this is how they are and things like that, but by the end of the campaign they could be a totally different person.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. And that's actually a really great opportunity to, yes, I agree. A really good opportunity to build a story again with your compatriots and your friends at the table, or online on Roll20, or whichever medium you prefer.
Probably going to be Roll20 for a while.
Yeah. And that's a lot of that's the fun of thinking these things through, because when you come to the table, you're going to have so many openings of possibilities to you that you might not have if you just leave all of your character development at the table. So
yeah.
Yep.
You always have opportunities for them to grow, inside the game, outside the game.
Yeah.
Let them become a character. Let the character make choices and decisions instead of you making the choices and decisions, and you'll be quite surprised with how things turn out.
And one pitfall though that I think we've all seen this online, but one pitfall of this kind of thing of letting the character make decisions and everything is to be careful of that's what my character would do thing.
Don't do it to be a dick and fuck shit up.
Yeah. But that's a really kind of fine line to walk, because on one hand you really do want to do what your character would do, but
just don't do
I guess
it to
it's
such
not
an extreme
doing it as an excuse to be a jerk. I guess is the way to go
your
about
character
that.
can be a jerk, that's fine. I played a Cyberpunk game where I played a character that was a complete asshole. His humanity score ended up being really low or something like that. He was a corporate. He was a corporate asshole. Mm-hmm. But stuff he did was still for, maybe been for his profit or whatever. But he also realized, oh hey, I need to work with these other people. Choices he made may have been kind of asshole-ish, and he may have been the de facto leader, or he saw himself as de facto leader, but I never had him act in a way that was detrimental to the group constantly.
Yeah.
I found a way to keep the group together by getting him a bag of chips and then charging him 400% interest.
There you go.
That's how I kept the group together after session 1.
So another example of this is asshole characters is going back to Dextra, my evil life cleric. She was lawful evil, so she was not really a team. She's not really a team player. She's very much a narcissist, very much someone who is very much of how will this benefit me? Is this good for me? It's all about me right now because it's all about me. And so for her, though, how do you, and the challenge is making a character like that work with a party in a party setting, because that's what D&D is. You're not there by yourself. So I had to figure out a way. I made her rather pragmatic. I mean, she still had her outbursts.
That's the fun thing about, role-playing the asshole.
Sister for the first time, and
her character, as I knew she would have been in the
party to kill her ASAP. I had her tiger companion get in front of her and physically stop her from advancing. That is awesome. That's really cool. That's a good way to get your character to stay with the party, stay with the group. And I love how you used her pet, or basically to work through that. Yeah. Yes, incentive, exactly.
Incentives, yeah. It's that, and I want to just add that the fun thing about playing these asshole narcissist characters is to go on these tantrums and then apologize for.
Oh, I didn't apologize.
For my guys, the first time I played him, he did something in the game that was absolutely his fault. As a player, I made a bad choice in combat or whatever. But he was an asshole and would not take the blame himself. So it was before. So, outside I was like, I'm sorry, this isn't me. It really was my fault. But in character, chewing someone's ass out. Yeah. So,
I took a different route. For example, with this character, who was definitely a narcissist, I had her to have a full-on tantrum at the party at one point. Basically, what had happened was another character had set off a trap, and there'd been a comedy of errors happening before this. Things going wrong, things going bad. Yeah. She was not happy to begin with. So I opened one session yelling at the entire party. I singled out every single person.
Except the barbarian, they're just
hold on, I wasn't there yet. I singled out every single person, basically enumerating what she perceived they had done wrong, and then she got to the barbarian and said, I'll think of something later. And, no, that was to the druid, and then she told the barbarian to come with her as she stomped out of the room for a minute. But the thing is you're going to do something like that, make sure you know your party well, or do what Striker Bolt did and give a caveat ahead of time so people understand that,
hey, I'm going to roleplay something assholey.
Yeah.
That's not really what's happening to me.
Yeah. So, assholes and jerks can be a lot of fun in a campaign. It's just making sure that you know where your limits are, or that you talk with your party about it and let them know what you're doing, so no one takes anything actually personally. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think the only time I acted in a way that was completely selfish and probably detrimental to the party's plans, was actually also because I was under the control of a geese spell, and geese, is it geese? Geas? Geas.
Yeah, that's that thing.
That spell. And so it was I was commanded to go retrieve this artifact for a god, and I had critically failed the saving throw of the roll. the saving throw against it. Not like I would have succeeded anyway, but because, it's the fucking god geese. Geese? Gesh.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay, good. Alright.
Oh, it's Irish. That's why.
Ah.
Makes sense now.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it is Irish now that I think about it. Because
anyway.
Character in Irish mythos. Anyway.
Gaius. Okay, there we go. Gaius. There we go. Thank you. So.
But, he... And then there's actually also... But it's like, oh, hey, this is his absolute commandment thing that he has to go do. We get to a room. Oh, hey, there's a whole bunch of evil cultists in the room, and the thing in the middle, or the artifact in the middle, and I had no choice but to beeline for it. Mm-hmm. Like, no one else in the group knew I was Geese. This was like a private chat between me and the DM. He's like, hey, you met this person, you failed this, make a saving throw for this. I failed, shit, okay, here's the absolute command. And I had to keep that in mind and play through the entire time. Wasn't allowed to tell anyone about it. So, combat that time got a little sketchy because I did something completely unnatural.
Yeah. But to wrap this section of the stream up is basically you don't have to sit down with a pen and pencil and write everything out, but give thought over the course of your week or in between sessions to the little things in your character, whether it's their favorite food, their backstory, their quirks, the things that would be bad about them as a person or good, all that kind of stuff, because then when you come to the table, you have a huge toolbox to pull from in any given situation, and you can add to that toolbox as you play, and that will help you create create a person. So,
and again, this is fantastic for these long campaigns where you're playing multiple sessions. One-offs, go ahead and stick with that character. Go ahead with
flat.
I wanted to make Dr. Doofenshmirtz one thing, and as fun as that sounded, I wanted to continue playing this character and wanted to grow, so I never played a character as Doofenshmirtz. Because I wanted him to grow. And just playing as Doofenshmirtz, he would have been flat. Mm-hmm. Hilarious, because I would have absolutely gone the length to memorize all his backstories.
I feel really bad about it, but Freya once betrayed the entire party. The BBG had some information on her sister, and she refused to attack him in an effort to get that information. Several party members were hurt basically because of it. It created a lot of tension. Yeah, I could see that, but I bet, I'm sure it worked for you guys, and it created, I'm sure, an environment in which you all could grow as a party. So that kind of thing will happen sometimes, and I think it creates for more interesting and dynamic campaign all the way around. Yeah. I think that's why live play shows that have a lot of character development, and because I love it, Critical Role is one of them, is what they do with their characters and the backstory and things you find out about them as they play. That's why it's so engaging, because you want to know more, and you've got more to learn and to hear about. Yeah. And that, I think, works within your own campaigns as well. Yeah.
So yeah, you got the tools, phobias, fears, quirks, random rolls that happen during it. Good rolls, bad rolls, some the size of your head.
Yeah, at the size of your head. There, that works. But yeah, so we're gonna take a quick short potty break, and then we're gonna come back, and this week, as per suggestion, we are going to do a MagiTek character to build with y'all. And we will see you in about 5 minutes. What are we
5 or 10 minutes. We'll see.
And it actually fits right in with Josh has been streaming. Striker Bolt's been streaming Final Fantasy VI, so it actually fits right in his theme for this week anyway. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with that, and we will see you in just a minute.
And we're back.
And we're back. Hello. So I see you said, Beef Girl, before we get into our Magitech armored character, you said you figured out the character doesn't like being underground, which is odd for her because she's an earth druid. I was having battle rolls getting anxiety from it. That is a perfect reason, though. That's a fun quirk, I think, for an earth druid. Yeah. That's, I think, really interesting and gives your character another dimension to her. I think that's fabulous. I think that's a great thing to have for your character. Actually, it makes them more interesting. So, so we're gonna get into creating this character as promised.
So it was asked before last week that someone wanted to make a character that was definitely an Eberron campaign setting that you mentioned. I can't remember who it was.
It was Cryocore.
Cryocore, yeah. So it's definitely, you're going to have the, some Eberron stuff going on. So focus on that. You want them to be a
the MagiTek type character.
Yeah, they wanted to make magical gear and such.
So
all cool things. So
going from there, let's get into that part of it. Now, you have a lot of really interesting options. My first thought, and you guys, you all help me or help us pick the race. I thought Warforged would be really cool because that's kind of
a machine that builds
machine-y type thing. So that might be a good one. What do you guys think, though? Should we go with that? Should we go with maybe something a little more of a human type who does more, just creates stuff, things like that? So we could pull a changeling out of it, or one of the wear. What is it called? It's a wear.
Let's see. Click that. Shifter.
Oh, the shifter?
The shifters.
Shifter might be kind of interesting too. Or no, actually, I think Simic Hybrid might be interesting.
Okay, Simic Hybrid is from that's from Magic. That's from Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
But the Simics are sort of bioscientists.
That's what I was thinking. So we've got a few options there. So what do you guys think? Should we go with that? The Warforged, or should we go with, say, a Simic Hybrid, or maybe we want to go with something as classic as a gnome, and but we've done gnome. So really, it's kind of up to you guys on what you guys think. I don't know if you're all back yet.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Warforged would be interesting because you've got. I know it says, I think on their wooden flesh, but you could reflavor it to be metal. So you've got kind of the...
I don't know anything about Simics. Simics are from Magic the Gathering.
Well, let's look at it. Let's go ahead and click on that for a minute, and we'll look at it. So
the Simic Hybrid, their whole shtick is they are themselves a science experiment.
Okay.
They started off as humans, elves, or Vidalcan, which is another race from Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm. And then aren't they merged with something? So some of them have crab claws or something like that, or
so their whole shtick is that they can get animal enhancements to really flavor them up.
Hello, Moon Mist. Welcome.
Yep. So at first level they can have some sort of gliding ability so that they don't have to worry about falling to their death. Nimble Climber gives them a climbing speed. Mm-hmm. So they got some spider thing going on or whatever. Mm-hmm. Underwater adaptation, you can breathe air and water, and you have swim speed and go rocket speed.
So I don't know, that seems a little bit more biological.
Yeah, they are. These are the kinds of mad scientists that make bioweapons and such, or just they're biologist scientists, not techie scientists.
Okay. So that might not fit the flavor of what we're going for.
Yeah. Plus, they're from the Magic the Gathering world. They might not be available for your Eberron campaign.
I don't think he was specifically saying Eberron.
He said Eberron last time.
Did he? Okay.
Cryocore, he, she, it, they.
He.
Okay.
So we've got them. Okay. Well, looking at the Warforged.
Eberron Orc is an option. I'm not too familiar with what races are around, and they've got the marks going as well for them as sub races, but I don't know what that's about either. So,
well, my thought is going back. I'm stuck on the Warforged. If you guys want something else, feel free to throw it out there. My thought on the Warforged was is that I know it says wood and flesh, but you could reflavor it to be.
You can give.
To be, metal plating. Or
well,
something,
they changed it up so that they've changed up how Warforged works. So it's instead of they can change their armor at will, they can bond their armor to them.
What's the difference between a regular orc and an Eberron orc?
Stats mostly.
Okay.
A regular orc this was back when Volo's Guide to Monsters came out. It gave them the penalty to intelligence, aggressive, menacing, powerful build.
Mm-hmm.
The Eberron orc doesn't have the penalty to intelligence, and
so
they instead get because orcs are more on equal footing. They're not so much monstrous in Eberron.
Okay.
But instead of the aggressive stuff, they get primal intuition, so they get a skill choice.
Oh, so they get more skills. So
yeah.
Okay.
So they don't have like super extra movement when charging down an enemy.
So, and then let's see, what else might maybe fit? You were looking at humans. Humans might be interesting.
It's interesting because they got these marks going. And here's, unfortunately, I really should have done my research on the marks, the dragon marks in Eberron, because I know that's a big thing. Relates to the certain houses and politics. I just don't know.
It's fine. But my thought is, if you look at like say Final Fantasy VI, it's humans in stuff.
Yeah, it's all humans. Yeah.
Armor and things. I mean, in this mechanical armor and things like that. So that would be an option as well in creating this MagiTek type character that we're going for.
Yeah, most of the characters that you're in your party are human, except for a Moogle and a Yeti.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why Final Fantasy VI is great. You can recruit a friggin' Yeti to your party.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So if
Sasquatch, yeah.
no one else has an opinion, I don't know. My thought is go with Warforged just because it kind of fits with that aesthetic. Yeah. So
if you know, if you know more about the marks, go for those. I just don't know about those.
So now here's where it gets interesting, because this is where a lot of our flavor and a lot of our interesting stuff is going to come from. Because my first thought when I heard MagiTek was an artificer.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat.
Artificer.
You can make that go, and you can make that exactly work for what you're looking for.
Yeah. That's it. Then the other options, you have the wizard. They can, they're intelligent. They can build stuff or whatever. So that's not such a bad idea either.
Yes. I like that.
Woods machines beats babies.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
It now has machine babies that it makes.
It makes the machine babies. All
yes.
right. Warforged are quickly becoming my favorite.
I agree. I think they're really fun.
It's a shame though. They had a lot more flavor back when they were pseudo Unearthed Arcana. Mm-hmm. They had the Eberron book that you could buy digitally, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, I still.
And those Warforged are gone now.
Yeah, well, still make your own flavor. It's fun. So
you got that.
You got the Artificer. Another avenue for us
Wizard
is a wizard. They can, you can reflavor a lot of what they do. But another one we were talking about.
It was a specific domain of cleric.
Yes.
Yes, Father. But yeah, specific domain of cleric, and that is the
Forge domain.
The Forge domain cleric.
And can't the Forge clerics make Modrons?
No, that was specifically homebrew flavor that our DM made for my character.
Bummer, because I was like, that would have fit perfectly with the mechanical babies.
But no, that was specifically flavor. Gnomes could make the mechanical babies, but that's just
okay.
So yeah, gnomes are a good option too, especially since they got that buff to intelligence.
Yeah. But we've got an artificer, a forge domain cleric, a wizard. But here's something that I just thought of. You could go with a gunslinger fighter.
Yeah, you could go with the
because they tinker and they make things, and so we've got a lot of options here as far as what class we want to use. So what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer to have which we could go straight up Everon and do the Artificer? If you think that one of the other classes we were just talking about would be a good idea for that kind of stuff, throw us your ideas, because you guys are helping build this. So
yeah. So what would you like to see? We've pretty much narrowed it down to like 4 classes here.
Yeah.
That's fit in so well with this.
So again, yeah, now I will say while they're getting to us, because again, I keep forgetting about the delay when I ask these questions, is I would want to start with an Artificer, just because 1, it's with Everon, 2, it's with
even says right there,
yeah.
Everon.
But I mean, you can make with all the cool things you can make with it would be my vote. But again, this is you guys as the chat. This is to make with you guys, so we can't make all the decisions.
Yeah.
So tell us what you think. What do you want to see? What do you want to try? Because we can. Let's see.
We know you're here. Feel free. We're looking at the users in chat. We know you're all here. I'm sorry.
So we'll look at here. While we're looking at things, what all is available with the Artificer, and then we can look at the Forge domain and go from there.
So,
no worries.
Sorry to step away. Your one came in. Yeah, no worries.
No worries. So looking at the
what happened? Oh, we're still talking about what class we want.
Yeah. So we're
Artificer, Cleric, Wizard,
or even Gunslinger.
Gunslinging Fighter. Forge domain Cleric, Gunslinging Fighter.
Yeah. Depending on what you guys want to pick, because you guys are, this is the create the character with the chat time, so.
Yeah. So with them, with Artificers, they automatically get Thieves' Tools and Tinker's Tools, and one Artisan tool of their choice. Their specializations, they can also get access to more tools that they're proficient with.
And what can they make?
Okay, yeah, let's see. Well, they got magical tinkering going on, so they can, right off the bat, they can make certain things. A little glowy ball, or cube or whatever. A recorded message object.
So they've got some magical.
A smell, something that makes a weird smell or nonverbal sound, perceived up to 10 feet away. Make whoopee cushions.
Yeah, make whoopee cushions. Okay, so they have some pretty cool stuff to even start with.
Or a GIF image.
Oh, that's awesome. What can they do later, though? Is I know you said something about they can make magical weapons, right?
Yeah, kind of. So, I should also mention they're also half-casters. They get spells almost at the same rate that Rangers and Paladins do, except they get it right off the bat at level 1, and they also are the only half-caster that gets cantrips.
No worries.
Alright. Let's see, here we go. Infusions.
And then, okay. Infusions.
So it's infusions. You can know 4, but only at the start infuse 2 items. This is starting at level 2. Let's see, as far as what they can make, all sorts of stuff. They can enhance an arcane focus, enhance defense, enhance weapon. They can make a homunculus servant at 6th level. They can make certain magical items as they level up. They can make a radiant weapon after a certain time. They can make a repeating crossbow.
Oh, that's fun.
A weapon that returns back to your hand. They can replicate certain magic items that already exist.
Okay, so they have some really cool options that we can definitely put in for the flavor of a MagiTek type character. What about, let's go to the next one on the list. Let's look at that Forge Cleric and what they have
to
available.
Actually select it here.
Okay.
Because that's a domain.
Oh yeah, so we have to look at it that way. Right there.
Forge domain. This is out of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Right off the bat, they get Blessing of the Forge, which is once per long rest, they can touch something non-magical, weapon or armor, and make it magical.
Okay. So that's fun. That's
So, not a bad combo. They also get proficiency with heavy armor, so it's just automatically, hey,
so
you're 1 level in cleric. Boom.
yeah, and so now you can make stuffs. Okay, so as far as what they get at subsequent levels, though,
Click on available higher
I'm
levels.
trying to do this sideways. There we go. Here.
They can create simple items. That takes like an hour. Like, oh hey, I need. As long as they have the materials, they can spend an hour to automatically successfully make ammunition or stuff like that.
Okay. So
So it's like, oh shit, I need a sword. Well, here's some raw materials for a sword.
So actually, this one's sounding a little bit more in line with what we're looking for right now.
A little bit, yes.
This feels more in flavor with MagiTek type stuff.
And later on, it's, oh hey, they gain resistance to fire damage because they're spending so much time to the forge, bonus to armor, and yada yada.
Okay. The next option we have was, let's see, what did
the
we...
fighter gunslinger.
Oh, the gunslinger. Okay.
That one I've played one of these before. It's at 3rd level. They take guns. This is off of Matt Mercer stuff. So, but
although I'm not quite sure if it would fit because there's really no magic involved in this. Now that I'm really thinking about it,
there really isn't.
It's all tinkering and creating, so it doesn't fit that whole.
But it's not a bad combo to go into, especially with like Forge Domain.
Yeah, or do something with a Forge Domain that might actually.
Yeah, because their whole extra thing actually relies on their 2 stats that become important are Dex and Wisdom. Even though they have no magic, a lot of their other stuff relies on their Wisdom score.
So you could say do a gunslinger / Forge Domain cleric, and then you have a lot of those options, and that I think that might work a little bit better. I'm thinking for what we are looking for.
Yeah.
So we've got that. I think actually now that I'm really thinking about it, I'm thinking the gun 3 levels in fighter and then the rest in cleric. Get a Forge Domain cleric might be our best option to.
Or just more options to. Well, there's also certain things with the Forge Domain cleric that don't stack. There's like later on they can get a buff that lets them add damage to their melee attacks, and a gunslinger is all about the range.
Oh, that's true. So that might not work.
So
well.
it's you get some stuff that's awesome and dope, but
holy bullets, yes.
But some stuff just doesn't stack. Some stuff does stacks fantastically. Other stuff doesn't.
But actually, that still might be a good synergize because sometimes you unexpectedly end up in melee when you don't want to be. So I think actually that might be a good way to kind of round out the character and make it a little more less situational, more.
Or maybe we can throw in the artificer there too to infuse stuff.
So do an artificer and forge cleric.
Artificer and forge cleric, yeah, or fighter, or the gunslinger artificer. So yeah, at this point now we really would like opinions, guys.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just move forward and go ahead? Let's start off with the Forge Domain cleric because I think we found that hit it hard. Yes, exactly. Contingency plan, hit it hard.
Hit it really hard.
I really like. Let's start off with that Forge Domain cleric. Yeah, and go from there. And actually, the more I think about it, still I think the combination of the gunslinger and the Forge Domain cleric would be a really good combo to have.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me think about something here. I think it'd be better off to start off as because here's the thing: as the fighter.
Really?
You get more. Well, I mean, you can get certain proficiencies, sure, but the fighter.
Well, if you start off with level 1 Forge Domain, you still get that heavy armor proficiency.
You get
right?
that. It all depends on what starting proficiencies you want.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom and charisma become your proficiencies if you start off as a cleric.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's not bad if you're going for range stuff, but then you've also got fighter, which I think is like strength and dex.
But then again, though, I would think starting off with this, if we're going to put most of our levels into cleric,
you still want to see the other stuff that gunner has at higher levels.
Yeah.
I have to remember what the starting stuff was for fighter here. It's they get more hit point. They start off with more hit points.
Mm-hmm.
Their proficiencies become strength and con, so that's not bad either.
Yeah.
Different skills to choose from. So,
But where are we putting most of our levels? That's the
we
question.
don't really know yet.
Because I would think, well, if we look at the gunslinger,
Because after a certain point, some of the cleric spells just aren't that great. At least that's my opinion.
yeah.
So,
Well, I don't know. I would think I want to start with the cleric
so
myself.
You want to start with? So we'll build it starting with the
Con works good
cleric.
for spell checks. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's
true.
right. Oh, right, and the concentrations and all that.
Yeah.
So actually, it might be better to go fighter.
Let's
This
go
is just
fighter
start.
first.
This is just
Start
starting
with
with.
fire first.
This is just starting proficiencies.
Yeah. So.
Okay, we already know it's going to be 3.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm just going to set it to
Gunslinger right off the bat.
gunslinger.
We do need to pick a fighting style.
Fighting style proficiencies.
I would think.
I am going to distribute the points right now,
Okay.
just because it's going to be most important.
How would that be most important?
Dex. That's what your attacks are going to rely on.
Okay.
You're going to be shooting stuff. You're going to be dexing it up.
All right. Sounds good.
That's going to be your bread and butter
Yep.
with a gun.
Okay, and then wisdom is the
Wisdom.
secondary because we will be multi-classing. Okay.
Yep, and those spells are going to rely on wisdom.
Yep.
Along with, there's also gunner stuff that relies on wisdom.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
you want the wisdom. Next, let's just throw it into con because just in
Because
case
hit
we'll have
points.
concentration stuff and
Yeah, hit points, things
hit
like
points
that.
and all that.
Now, I would think the next thing would be intelligence. Because,
Yeah, you're building stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little bit smart about it.
So,
Which just leaves strength and charisma. It's been 10 and 8.
why don't we do...
10 strength, 8 charisma.
Okay.
Like I said.
Sure. Because we... Either way.
Whatever. It's, they tinker stuff. They're better with machines than people.
Yeah. So that works. And
So let's
we're-
see. Let's go ahead and choose our proficiencies. I just realized this stuff over here. They get a bonus to con and +1 to one other ability score.
Then I would do intelligence.
I was going to put in Dex.
Well, no, we're thinking more about the tech stuff and creating things for flavor. We're thinking about flavor. We're not min-maxing. So
I would still go Dex.
okay, why would you choose Dex over, say, something like intelligence, where we're trying to just for discussion
Intelligence,
purposes, yeah.
intelligence, might be have the
They're-
ideas or whatever. Dex would also be like being able to assemble this stuff. Those tinker tools, that's going to require some
Aren't those usually intelligence checks
Yeah.
for tinkering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, they don't have one. I should say
Okay.
they don't have one. That's up to your DM's discretion.
So you
On
can
when those
plug
come
it
into
into
play.
either or.
Yeah,
So,
it's DM's discretion on that one. They really none of the tools have a check related to them. Except for maybe thieves' tools, which is
dexterity.
dexterity.
Yeah. So, all right. So,
Okay, so they get special skill proficiency and tool proficiency as well. So we already know we're going to get Tinker's tools. Let's give ourselves Smith's tools as well.
yeah, Smith tools would be, I think, good for building things,
Yeah.
definitely. And then for skill, I would think we're looking at MagiTek. MagiTek's kind of intimidating. So I would think if we're looking at flavor, I would think intimidation would be... Why?
Well, maybe if you're in the robot, but
Well, that's what I'm
no,
saying.
it's magical technology. I don't think intimidation would fit. I don't think
I think it
I don't
would.
think it fit at all. I think Arcana would be a much better
Okay.
fit
That works for me. So,
because it's now you're thinking, how to
yeah, how does
that
this
I need the
magic
magic
use
stuff.
into things? Okay.
Language don't matter.
Just for funsies, what language do we want?
Draconic, I guess. I don't know. It's funsies. It don't matter. For this build, it don't matter too much. Whatever fits with the Everon campaign, whatever fits with the group, it don't matter.
Let's
It's
see.
the
So
flavor.
now we're back into proficiencies there.
Okay, so fighter proficiencies. Yeah, because they don't get Arcana at all
I
as
would
a
think maybe
choice.
I would go with maybe perception.
Perception, yeah, here you go. Yep,
So-
they gotta notice stuff.
And
Looks like
then-
investigation's not an option. So I would have said
Maybe
investigation as well.
history. I would think history.
History?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna
something
have to
knowledge-y,
know
yeah.
what's, how things worked before, checking things out. And as fighting style, I would recommend 2-weapon fighting. Oh, no, that's melee.
No.
That's melee.
It's melee.
Never mind. It's not.
That 2-level finally only applies to melee stuff, yeah. As much fun as it'd be to go in double guns blazing.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was thinking. So.
Yeah, you'll want the archery. You'll want the bonus to attack
range.
rolls.
Yeah. So for
and then trick shots. So you get trick shots. The best one is the Deadeye shot.
That's way fun.
Spend a grip point to get advantage on the attack roll, and you can get grip points back if you crit or kill. And also a fun thing. So yeah, spend a grip point to get advantage, make you crit, and you get the point back. Plus, also, the amount of grip points you have is based off of your wisdom score. So that's one of the synergies I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Was just, oh, hey, if I'm already putting points into wisdom, take a class that's wise, for lack of a better word. Okay, so as far as the other one goes, again, this is related specifically to the gun stuff.
Yeah. So this is just kind of fun things that anybody who wants to use them.
Maybe you're just so much of a sharp shot that you disarm dudes.
Oh, I like the disarming shot.
That might be pretty good for Eberron, this disarming shot.
Well, I think that'd be good anyways.
It's not going to do you any good against, say, a dragon.
Yeah.
It's something. It's something. Here we go.
It's funsies.
Okay.
So we've got that. Now we've looked at abilities. Now we're starting to build more of the flavor for this MagiTek. So we've got, I would think, next would be a cleric to add in
Cleric
there.
stuff, yeah.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, Mew Mew V.
How are you tonight? I hope you're doing well, and welcome. We are building a MagiTek D&D character.
You see it's a bit too loud. It's not over loud, just kind of distracting.
Oh yeah, we can turn that down. So, thank you for letting us know. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, we are...
I have is pretty much almost as low as it can go, or I can shut it off entirely. That's...
So, okay. So, what we're talking is, we're building a MagiTek character.
Okay.
So, we've decided we're going to start off with a gunslinger fighter, just because they've got the tinkering, it's kind of, technological stuff, and then we're going to add in a Forge Domain cleric, who does have the ability at later levels to make weapons, armor, items magical.
Or actually, right off the bat, they can make stuff magical. One thing, per long rest.
Yeah. So, right there.
Oh, racial trait proficiency. Oh, hey, we got the Smith tool already.
Oh, nice.
So something else for here then. Got Smith, that one. If the group is lacking a rogue of some sort, Thieves' tool's not a bad option. Jeweler's tools, I guess, is a pretty good option too, or leather worker. We got choices.
All the choices. So, let's see. I generally prefer Dice Cloud to create characters, as it gives me more freedom in the text input fields by letting me use full markdown with image embeds and all. Oh, I'm not familiar with Dice Cloud. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
Make a note of that.
I really like that.
Yeah, we're just using D&D Beyond because I've bought all the crap for it already, including the new book that came out just recently.
So, but yeah, I'll definitely check out Dice Cloud because that sounds really cool. So,
yep.
Okay. So what do you guys think?
Dice Cloud is a lot more complicated than D&D Beyond. Okay.
That's okay. That's still worth checking out, definitely.
Setup isn't completely intuitive. Yeah.
Still worth looking at. I'll definitely check it out.
We need to choose a tool set.
So
I'm thinking it's not going to show up on
Glassblower. I think
stream there.
No,
not Glassblower.
Why not Glassblower?
It's like making glass stuff, sure. Yeah. Like if you want to
you can make a magical crystal ball. It'll be fun. MagiTek.
But I was thinking either jewelers, leather workers, or thieves' tools.
I would maybe go with jewelers then. Being able to work with, because if you're doing MagiTek and things like that, you're going to be using crystals and things like that. So being able to create that.
So why not artificer if that's the case? Yeah, we could do artificer.
We were looking at it, And yeah, we could definitely. That's
Yeah.
another option. You've got a lot of really good options that way as well.
Yeah.
We were just looking at the ability right off the bat to create magical weapons. And
actually, an artificer with Forge Domain would be really fun too, I think.
Oh, really?
So I think we'll wrap this guy up first real quick, and then I'm going to just
then build that one?
build the other one
Real fast?
even faster, yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Forge Domain, and what do they have at higher level besides spells? Let's see, for domain spells, they'll get Identify, they get
really
Searing
nice.
Smite, Heat Metal,
That's
cool
really
magic
useful
weapon.
as you're making things, yeah.
Cool, so we definitely want them to at least be 3rd level
Yeah.
in Cleric.
Definitely, so you can see that. And the elemental.
Do Warforged just get fucked in anti-magic or what? Nah, I think as they're written is they don't have a penalty if they're in an anti-magic field. It's like something more than just magic for Warforged, I think. Or at least that's how as a DM I would rule it. But if like step into an anti-magic field.
Oh, I haven't even.
It's really up to the DM's discretion. Talk with your DM beforehand, but rules as written, no, they wouldn't get fucked up if they walked into an anti-magic field.
This is just special.
I mean, like all their other cool, like, cleric spellcasting stuff will.
Yeah, but they won't. They don't die.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I would just put the rest of. Looking at this, just looking at what's available, I would be putting as many levels as I could into Cleric, just because you've got the Fabricate, you've got the Elemental Weapon, you've got the Protection from Energy. It just works with the whole MagiTek
So yeah,
theme.
get them to 9th level
So,
in Cleric.
yeah.
They get ASIs, or feats if we wanted to. No, let's go ahead and round this out to 4th, just because I like even stuff.
Okay. So yeah, so we've got. I think we have a pretty interesting MagiTek character.
Yeah. Actually, we do want these guys 5th level here, because then they get the extra attack, and that's really important for the gunslinger to have that extra attack.
Okay. So overall, when you're building this out, you'll want to have 5 levels in Gunslinger, and then the rest in Forged Domain Cleric. Correct?
Let's see. If we're already 9th, the highest we can go is 11th. So you could go 5 and 15 Fighter Cleric, or you could go 11-9 Fighter Cleric, because then you get another extra attack. You'll get Rapid Repair, which is important for your gun stuff.
All that fun stuff.
So there's 2 ways to go about it. So we'll leave it at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll just have them at total character level 14th. We'll just choose their ASIs real quick. Ability score improvements and feats. It's probably just going to be all ASIs. I can't really think of many feats that would be too helpful with this beyond like let's see, crossbow expert will let you shoot in melee range.
Yeah, that would definitely be something I think worth using. So
there's no because crossbow expert
and sharpshooter, and I think those would be
expert.
the 2 feats you would grab for this as far as this build goes.
If you wanted to, yeah.
So all right, let's try out the artificer and
So I'm just going to. I'm going to leave that just going to leave the ASIs alone.
Yeah,
as
just
far
leave
as
it.
spells go, they got most of the ones they have just for being a domain cleric. Being a cleric, you want guidance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get mending. I know, I see the time. Just that one, mending, thaumaturgy.
Yep. So yeah, I think those would be some good.
And actually, I don't even need to go through the spells too much, because they just the
Most
ones
of
we
them-
need they get already.
They get right off the bat, which is awesome. And then everything else can be flavor in what you're wanting to create with, I mean, what you're wanting to do as far as spell goes. You can really kind of look at how that would be effective in utility and things like that, and fit it to your campaign. Would be the best way to go about it. Because Stone Shape would be useful.
Yeah, Stone Shape. I'm just going through and picking out spells just for the hell of it. It really, like I said, what Forge Domain gives us already.
It's pretty.
To be honest, imagine D&D setting where the players have MagiTek smartphones. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
There is actually, they did introduce a magic item in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica that's basically a Bluetooth headset.
That's
you
awesome.
attune it, and you telepathically communicate with whoever else you know also has the headset.
That's awesome. It's kind of like the message earrings.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the Artificer Cleric and put that one together real fast.
So hold on, we'll need a name for Robo Boy here.
Robo Boy.
Robo Boy.
I like Robo Boy.
Robo Boy.
So.
Okay.
Okay, so Artificer Cleric. Now
let's do an Artificer Cleric this time. So this time the Artificer levels aren't as important. It's just like
because you want that starting stuff, or
because it's the cleric stuff's going to be useful to get you more spell slots quicker. The Artificer stuff, you'll want to focus more on those. Plus, with the Forge Domain Cleric's ability to make one thing magical once a day, that frees up your infusions.
Oh, okay. So what do we want to start with? Do we want to start with the Artificer, or we want to start with the...
We're going to start with the Artificer because they start with tools.
Okay.
We need to choose a race for this guy real quick.
Oh, yeah. So we just did the Warforged. Let's do another race this time. And if you guys have a suggestion, you want to see a race that we're looking at, feel free to jump in and tell us. But we were, let's see, we were looking at which ones. We looked at Warforged. We got that one. Yeah. Then the other options we had was, an Orc of Eberron?
Turtle.
Turtle? Ooh, that'd be kind of fun. Let's try it.
Let's do a Turtle, yes. Let's do a Turtle. Why not?
Yeah. So and that gives you, plus strength and wisdom, so we can go with a more strength-based, wisdom-y character. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. So...
Okay, so we do need to distribute not point buy. I want standard array.
And by the way, we do standard array for these just because it's quick, easy to do, get it going. That way we can move on to the fun stuff as far as these. So,
they'll need intelligence.
Oh, for the Artificer?
For the Artificer. It has to be 13, 14, or 15 here.
Got it, okay.
They're going to need wisdom. They get the bonus to wisdom, so you know what? Let's give them 15 wisdom.
Okay.
Dex isn't going to matter so much.
So, okay.
In this case, so...
Maybe 10? And then 10. Constitution, we can put the 13 in.
Yeah, 13 here.
High points are always good. And then they get a +2 to strength, so I'll give them the 8, I would think. And then...
In that case, I know exactly what kind of... If we put the stats like this, then I know exactly what to make them at level 3 in Artificer.
Perfect. Okay. So,
although, do I want to?
Well, let's get there and look and see what we want to do here. And
love the standard array. Yeah.
It makes it really easy because then you can just, everyone starts on a level playing field. That's always really awesome. I personally am a lover of roll 4d6, drop the lowest. That's my favorite way to do it just because I like the pure randomness of it. But, all of them are fun and all of them can be really cool. So
with this stat build up that we have going for it, it'd just be better overall.
Now, flavor-wise, I would think Battlesmith would be the
best.
Battlesmith
would be best, yeah.
Would be?
Would be, yeah.
Because aren't they the ones that can build you can have little cannons run around with
No, that's the artillerist.
Oh.
The Battlesmith is, they do get the combat-oriented stuff. And the Robo Puppy.
Oh, they get a Robo Puppy?
If you're really mastic, you could roll 60-20 and those are your stats.
Yeah. No, that'd be scary.
That's terrifying. Although D&D Beyond won't let you go.
I'm so down to try that at some point. So
D&D Beyond won't let you put in more than 18. But
yeah. But still, you bring it down to what you need.
Oh, well, you can also put in a magic item that just lets you have the higher stat anyway.
Yeah. So... All right, so this, what do you guys prefer? I'm thinking something that really fits with the character. Would be the artillerist, and that's because when I think of MagiTek, I still go back to Final Fantasy VI, and I think of the MagiTek armor with those beams. So I would think the artillerist, flavor-wise, would be the best option. That's my thought on it, anyway.
But but that is also, but with our stats also, we're not great for combat. Like the Tortoise Shell absolutely lets us have our defense just fine where it is. Yeah. But we're not going to be too great with combat. Yeah. So we would go spell heavy and cantrip heavy specifically.
Yeah.
There's always the chance of getting slammed with a 1 on your roll and becoming a cripple in one of those tests to make them sign. That's true.
That's true. That would be a fun random thing to do. Actually,
Yeah.
I've got to try that sometime.
Okay. Yeah. What do you guys think? Artillerist or battlesmith? I think we should let chat choose.
Decide which way you would like to go. Striker Bolt is definitely voting for the Robo Puppy. Okay, there you go.
All right, battlesmith it is.
Darn it, I lost. So, all right, so we've got...
Cool. So that's what Steel Defender is the Robo Puppy.
Okay, perfect.
This will also automatically give us... Let's see, this gives us proficiency with martial weapons. And when we attack with a magic weapon, we get to use our intelligence modifier instead.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about strength and dex.
Okay, that's kind of awesome, especially with our strength
being
as well.
But we have to have a magical weapon. But luckily...
We can make them.
As an artificer, we can make them.
Well, and we can make them anyways, because we're going with a Forged Domain Cleric.
Oh, yeah, and we can make...
As a multi-class.
As a multi-class,
Yay.
yeah. We didn't choose tools. I held off on that because I just realized for the other character we didn't choose a background.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Darn it. Okay. Well, it's open for you guys to pick.
It's open for you guys to pick now. Yeah. Let's see.
So I'm thinking something along... Again, we're going to want something along the lines of building, creating things.
How about...
I would think maybe woodcarver. Yeah, I was just
going to say woodcarver tools.
Would be neat.
They're turtles. They live near water and stuff. So
again, it's MagiTek. You know, they can make their things out of wood instead of metal. So
okay, and then they need 2 skills: investigation, absolutely, and Arcana again.
I would think Arcana again. We're going with that magical technology theme.
You don't get Smith's tools right off the bat unless you pick them, and you're going to need those for Battlesmith.
Yes.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So we get that with the Cleric, though, don't we? Get Smith tools right out from the Cleric?
First level in Forged Domain Cleric is going to give us Smith tools as well.
Now, does that count, though, when we're multi-classing?
What do you mean?
Like, do we get those as soon as we multi-class, or do we not get those?
We get the proficiency automatically.
Well, yeah, the proficiency, and then you have to go out and
buy
it.
We get it because it's the specific subclass.
Yeah.
That's why. Just as straight up Cleric, no, you don't really get any new proficiencies. Mm-hmm. But being the Forged Domain specifically gives you that stuff you need.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with like starting off like 2 levels in Artificer and then taking a level in Forged Domain Cleric.
Mm-hmm. And then going and buying your Forged tools. So.
Yeah.
Or your Smith's tools.
Yeah.
So
then Artificer Infusions, and then this is stuff you can... So he's a turtle. I don't think he'd understand armor too well, so definitely not enhanced defense.
No. Enhanced weapons, though, would work.
Enhanced weapons work, but we also have the Forged Domain stuff going on and give ourselves the enhanced weapon.
Yeah. Or we could do a returning weapon. That's really...
Let's do a returning weapon, because it's they're a turtle. They like fish. A spear that comes back.
Comes back. There we go. And on top of that, creating things and that come back.
So there we
returning.
Go. Yeah.
Okay. And then for the next... replicating magic items might be...
Yeah, replicate magic items, we have to choose a specific one, and we get an extra sub-list.
Okay.
We got something from the Forged Domain ability, so we don't need either of these.
Mm-hmm. An Arcane Focus?
Arcane Focus, nah, we're not going to be using that either, because we're going to be chucking a spear back at him.
That's true. So, and... Mind Sharpener, that's UA.
That's UA. We're going to avoid UA stuff. So, let's go replicate magic items.
Yeah.
Or if you want to take one that benefits your party members, go for it.
Yeah.
So I guess for the rest of these, we'll just replicate magic items.
So
Alchemy Jug because mayonnaise.
Alchemy Jug is wonderful.
Let's see, what else we got? Or maybe... Oh, God, so much stuff.
Sending Stones.
Sending Stones, yeah, why not?
That works.
Yeah, why not? Let's replicate one more magic item.
Let's see. With that, a Wand of Pyrotechnics is fun.
Wand of Pyrotechnics.
Yeah. The Wand of Magic Detection.
Veteran's Cane.
Yeah. I'm thinking the Wand of Pyrotechnics. MagiTek, again, we're looking at flavor
this last
too.
One
we're not min-maxing, so...
Or just Goggles Night.
That might be fun, too.
That might be fun, too.
All right.
It doesn't really matter. These 3, I just chose ones, whatever. Choose whichever you think fits.
Yeah. So, okay.
Cool. And keep in mind with artificer infusions, you might know 4 of them, but you can only make 2 at a time.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Let's see. We get an extra tool proficiency.
So,
but our forge domain gives us smith tools already, so we get to choose a different one. So let's choose.
Well, we could pick cartographer's tools. That's something. I mean, turtles wander.
Turtles do wander. Yeah, that's a thing.
We do that.
Cook's utensils is an option as well. Maybe they want to make a magical oven.
Oh, there we go. Okay, do the cook's
Let's do cook's utensils, whatever.
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun. That's fun.
So.
Okay.
All right.
And then we're pretty much set right there at level 4.
So that's ready to go.
Choose a background real quick. Either like a fisher or a shipwright. No, let's give them fishermen.
Okay.
They're fishermen, but they want to become like, they keep coming up with new ways to be better fishermen.
Yeah, and that's what brought them into the MagiTek artificer thing. So,
give a perception because fuck it. Language again.
Any language that you want as far as this goes. Something that
matter.
goes with your character would be perfect for that. So, all right. So we've got 2 different builds for a MagiTek type character. We will. I promise we will get these up. For you guys. There will be links in the on the YouTube video that we put up of this episode.
Yep.
But
I will go back and slap on equipment and the background of the other guy off screen as well because we're running out of time here.
Yeah. So, but there we go. We've got 2 characters and
2 more characters, yeah.
And they'll be available for you guys to download and use in your own games and go from there.
Yep, so, again, thank you, Melody Pond, for the bits. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by, including you, Mew Mew View. Welcome to the stream.
Yes, and thank you for coming and talking with us. And we will...
fun.
I'm only here once a week for D&D Talk.
Yep.
Striker Bolt
I'm here the rest of the time. Oh, thank you for the follow, Mew Mew V.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Striker Bolt will continue tomorrow with your Final Fantasy.
Yep, I'm going to go back to playing Final Fantasy VI because I'm just obsessed with that. I even had a bonus stream yesterday because my D&D game was canceled and I want to play more.
So, and again, we'll talk next week about more D&D type stuff. We'll build another character with you guys, so think about what you want to build. Yep. And feel free to tweet me at Craft Candles or Strikerbolt at Strikerbolt on Twitter, and let us know if
or just join the Discord channel and drop a message there.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll have the character sheets up on Discord. Eventually, I promise. One of these days.
Yeah, and then and we'll work on building something with you guys next week
and talk about something cool next week too.
Yeah. So I think that's the end of what we got so far. Please stay safe, guys. Everybody, please make sure you you practice social distancing. Be careful out there. We appreciate you guys being here, and that's all I got.
That's all I got too. Buy her candles. Fabled Flame over on Etsy.
Yep. And alrighty.
All right. That's
Thank you.
Thank you,
for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I don't know why we're waving because they can't see
fun.
us.
I don't care. I like to wave.
All right. Bye.